Hi, this is cbradiomagazine.com, and today we're going to look at the Galaxy DX95T. This is the Galaxy top-of-the-line radio. It's a 10-meter export radio. Galaxy produced this radio as a high-power export. It has two Toshiba 2SC2290 transistors inside of it. These transistors are going to produce about 150 watts of output power for this radio, so it is a high-power, high-end model. Retails usually for around $400, so it is quite expensive in the export radio market, but you are getting a radio that can do 150 watts. We'll go over some of the features here. The Galaxy 95T to start off with, it does have a large Galaxy meter, much like many of the other radios. One thing this radio does have that most radios don't these days is a modulation lamp. The lamp is located right below the meter, and as you talk you'll see it modulate. The light will turn on, and with more modulation it gets brighter, so it's kind of a neat feature. It kind of throwback to the days of old. We'll turn a little bit here and have a look. Some of the features on the left hand side of the radio. Once again, this is an export radio, so it does have multiple bands of channels, or banks of channels, A through H. The CB band, after this radio has been modified, would be on E. You'll see it has a mode switch. This radio can be operated in FM, AM, upper sideband or lower sideband. It also has a PA function, so that if you do want to use the PA, you can. It does have some switches around here. The first switch here is a three-way switch. It can be in any of the three positions, and this is a control for the meter. You can check your SWR. You can see your modulation, or you can see your power on the meter, and by switching from any one of these positions you can see those on the meter. The next one right here is a Roger beep on the left hand side, or an echo on the right hand side. In the middle position, both of those are off. It's kind of interesting on this radio, you can't use both the Roger beep and the echo at the same time, from the factory at least. And if you do want to use them, it's either one or the other, so you either would switch it to the Roger beep or the echo. The echo on this radio, once you turn it on, it's just set. There are no echo controls on the outside of the radio. You can adjust it on the inside of the radio. There's the delay and time control in there. So basically what you do is open up the radio, set it to where you want it, and then leave it. And then when you want to use it, you'd flip it into the echo position. On the lower hand here, you'll see it has a on-off volume squelch dual control knob. Right next to that is a mic gain and talkback control. It has variable talkback control on this, so you can adjust your talkback level. If you want to turn the talkback on or off, you actually push this button in or out, and you'll hear it click, and that'll turn your talkback on or off. Right above that, move up here, you'll see a three-way switch here. This switch is either in the off position. You can either turn on a 40 dB pad or a GNF. GNF stands for the Galaxy Noise Filter function, and basically what that does is it cuts out some of the high-end audio frequency noise to try and make it easier to hear signals. On the right hand side, the 40 dB pad, this radio doesn't have an RF gain feature, but what it does have, prevent overload, is that button switch there, where you can switch it in the 40 dB pad position. And what that'll do is it'll cut out the same way an RF gain control knob would. And if you're really close to another vehicle, especially truck drivers right next to each other, that'll cut that out so you don't get overload in your receive or get distortion. As you can see, this radio has a 6-digit frequency counter. Also has your channel display as well. Right here you're going to have another three-way switch. This one is either in the off position. It can turn on the modulation lamp, which I showed you earlier, or you can do the plus 10 kilohertz position, which will jump you up 10 kilohertz. Right below this you'll see there's a dimmer and power control. We have a variable dimming control on this radio, as well as variable power. So you can turn the power all the way down in a low position, or you can turn it all the way up for high power. On this switch also, if you push in, you can turn off the frequency display. If you decide you're just going to be running AM, or on sideband you decide you don't need to see the frequency counter, you can just push this on or off. That's kind of a neat feature. Right next to that, you're going to have your fine and coarse controls. These are your clarifier controls for tuning in other stations. This is also a three-way control knob in the sense that it also has a push on or off for the noise blank automatic noise limiter. So you can push that on or off. And when you do so, you also see that there's a light to indicate whether or not that has been pushed on or off. It's a light over here that shows up. So that's another neat feature. It's a three-way knob. Right here in this switch, you're going to have three positions as well. You have an off position, or you have an RX-TX or RX position. What this control does is it's a switch to control your clarifier, basically, so whether or not it tracks on receive and transmit, or if it's just going to track on receive. This is a neat function if you decide you want the radio to be locked in on transmit and you don't want to mess with it, or if you want to move around on your transmit using the clarifier control, you can put it into this position. Right above that, we have a 5th and 6th digit control here. So you can either go to 5 digits by pushing the button in, or if you do want to see the 6th digit, you can push it in and it'll show you that 6th digit there. Once again, it's for people who don't want to see where you are in that 6th digit. Mostly I'd say if you're running AM in that kind of case and you don't want to see that digit jumping up or down for any reason. Over on the very right hand side here, you'll see there is a indicator to show when you have the Galaxy noise filter on. If we switch that on, you'll see that indicate there. And also if we go to the 40 dB pad, you'll see that light come on there. So this radio is definitely packed with a lot of features, a lot going on in the control panel. Looks a little complicated initially to some people. It's very easy to figure out. Lots of fun controls to play with, interesting stuff on there, all of it very useful. So overall, I really like the way the package is set up on the radio. It also has what we call the Starlight from Galaxy, the Starlight faceplate, where it's backlit behind here. Makes it very easy to see at night, and what I'll do is I'll turn off the lights and kind of give you a view of what the radio looks like at night. So this is what the Starlight feature looks like. You can see it's blue over here around the Galaxy meter, and the rest of the radio is a nice green color. Illuminated very easily. It's very easy to see at night. It's not overly bright like some of the other radios that are using a lot of the blue LEDs and stuff. So overall, it's one of the nicest backlighting I've seen on a radio. Let me pull the radio out and I'll show you some of the features on the bottom and the sides and give you a better overview of what it looks like in the front and the back. Okay, I wanted to show you the bottom of the radio, and as you can see, it has a large heatsink on the bottom. This is where your transistor is going to be located to provide your final output power. There's also a micro fan installed in here. That's going to help move the heat away from the internal components as well, and keep the radio running cool. You can get the fins here to dissipate the heat. Heat really is a killer on a lot of CB radios. Buildup of heat is going to cause failure of components, so it's really important to keep it cool, and that's why this radio does have the large heat sink here. Also a heat sink in the back. Okay, looking at the back of the radio, you can see there's a large heat sink. You also see it's fairly simple. It's got your coax connector. It has a PA speaker CW key input there, as well as an external speaker jack. And just below that you'll see the power cord connector, and I'll unhook that for you to show you what it looks like. These radios utilize a large heavy-duty connector. It's going to have 4 pins. 2 of them are positive, 2 of them are negative, and that's going to provide the power. It does use a large gauge power wire, so it needs all that juice and amperage to drive those transistors.